Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Shauna. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. Tonight is going to be about fabric, right? I know this is weird, and it may sound weird, but I'm actually late to this conversation, right? There are actually scriptures that go into fabrics and, what's the best fabrics to wear, etc., right? So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, what's going to be the topic, right, for the segment? And I had actually heard this about 2 weeks ago, like denim. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I'm bugging. No. And obviously, right, we know that our ancestors are coming from a particular region. So obviously, whatever is growing there and whatever fabric would be suitable for that environment is obviously what they're going to wear, right? They don't need wool in Africa, right? So, right, this is basic information. It's kind of like common sense, right? But let me just first say, I had no idea that denim was actually cotton, right? I had no idea that jeans and just denim itself was cotton. So that was the first thing. And I actually did research on, and we know the history of the different fabrics and, silk and how it is basically like a status symbol and how it's traced back to China and how, wool, it comes from sheep and it traces back to Mesopotamia, right? We know those things. This is history. We learned this in school. But as far as spiritual wise, it actually does affect us. What was the scripture? Deuteronomy in the Bible, Deuteronomy 22:11 actually has a scripture, and there's tons of scriptures that talks about Jesus wearing linen or whatever, right? And how linen is so important. It's mentioned a bunch of times in the Bible. It's a scripture that actually states this actual scripture, Deuteronomy 22:11. It goes into how wearing wool and linen together is forbidden. Right now in Islam, it's actually forbidden or haram for men to wear silk, but it's permissible for women, and the reason is because it's associated with beautification and enticing and things like that, right? So that's why it's forbidden. And now that I think about it, I was actually told to do a segment on colors, right? The history of colors. And in Islam, white is important, right? And what do we associate white with as far as fabrics? Linen, right? And cotton. Mainly cotton, but also linen. And these fabrics actually have a frequency. They emit frequency. They have properties that affect us on a biological level. And when you think about it, what do they have at the hospitals? Linen, right? It's associated with healing. They've done several research experiments where they found that cancer patients who were using linen, they were able to have their cells healed faster at a rapid rate. They actually have a type of therapy that is linen based. It's based on actual linen. I know, it's crazy, right? Silk, it has it attracts and stores electromagnetic energy. There are tons of research that goes into silk. And what's crazy is, as good as these things are, they they actually have downsides to them. So it would make sense why we are encouraged to wear things like linen or cotton, and even like the kente cloth, like, right? These things are symbolic of a people, right? It tells a story of a culture, of a time period, of a struggle, of a tool that was actually used to bring people out of poverty and used to bring people together, right? So this thing is actually deeper than us just having this material protect us against the elements, right? It is history. Now, linen, it comes from the flax plant, right? The flax plant is the actual plant. It protects against solar gamma radiation. So again, it has these healing properties. And then when you look at the symbolism of it with Jesus and how it talks about linen, and how it is a symbol of purity and things like that. Now, wool is oxygenating to us, and it actually allows us to vibrate on a particular level, as does linen and cotton, right? Linen has antibacterial and antifungal properties, but it's just so crazy that research is so telling in history, right? And it coincides and it agrees. It allows you to see that history is repeating itself, and it confirms everything that we learn and the things we get to experience. Now, again, when I was sitting there asking for the material, for the topic, and denim came up, I was looking up jeans, and then skinny jeans popped up, and then, of course, a lot of us are wearing skinny jeans, but mainly men. It has a really negative effect on the growing area, the testicles. It prevents, well, obviously, it has to be uncomfortable, right? But it prevents infertility, and it also decreases the blood flow, right? So it causes circulation issues. That means you have an increased risk of having blood clots, right? So that's one thing. So men, stop wearing, ladies too, but mainly men, stop wearing the skinny jeans, right? Stop with the skinny jeans. And obviously tight jeans will cause infections, and it affects us. It affects your digestive system, your back, and can cause skin issues and infections again, right? Obviously. But when you start looking, like I said, at the history, you don't necessarily think of health and frequency. You just think of, right, a geographic location and how these fabrics are tied to particular cultures and trading, right? Us coming together, and how we were able to look at these fabrics, and it traces us back to a time. But your vibrational energy is also affected by these fabrics. We have, as humans, we have an average vibrational level of 70 to 90. 100 would be ideal. Linen and wool have a vibrational frequency of 100. All of the other fabrics have lower frequencies, around 50, which is interesting, because when you look at people who have chronic diseases, it's also around 50. Anything under 50 is associated with incurable diseases, mainly around 15, and all of the other fabrics that are synthetic or man-made have vibrational frequencies of 15, right? So when you wear these fabrics, it's actually lowering your frequency, and I know that's true because, and especially for women, and I'm assuming men, but mainly women, biological and spiritual frequency that's being manipulated by the things that we're wearing. And again, when you look at the history, it dates back to a particular time period. So just think about the time frame, right? Think about the lifestyle and the overall culture and energy of the culture and the people and the place when these fabrics were found. Now, denim is gravely associated with work and farming, mainly America. All of these places have popular history. I'm not going to go into the history of all of the fabrics, because the fabrics themselves have a rich history, and everyone pretty much knows those stories. But again, if you are not well versed in the Bible or the Quran or just books overall that go into history, you may not really know that these scriptures exist, and that they tell us what's forbidden for us to do, and it's because of our health. Your kidneys can be affected, your liver, your skin, like I said, your digestive system, your reproductive system, right? Your organs can be affected when wearing certain fabrics because of their vibrational frequency. So I thought I was crazy when I kept hearing what is the topic and what should I be talking about, but it makes sense now. So yeah, let's try to start. And even colors, like I said, so we're even going to do a segment on colors, because obviously some colors are associated with particular materials. Like white is mainly associated with cotton and linen, and then you have blue that is associated with denim, right? Even black, when I was looking at some of the research, was associated with a frequency of 0, and the main reason why wool and linen is forbidden to wear together is because it brings the energetic frequency down to 0. Those two frequencies together, because they have opposing obviously it's because of the weaving. Well, not obviously, but this is where research is pointing to, that because of how these fabrics are weaved together, they are opposing, so they cancel one another out. So a lot of things that we may not think affect our health, our overall health, they do. So it doesn't hurt to be obedient and just look into things and kind of do research. It's really good to do research and ask questions. It doesn't hurt, right? Because we can be extending our lives, we could be saving our families, we could be doing a great deal of help to the environment, because even silk is associated with the worms, silkworms. So they're a risk. They're being killed. Cotton is associated with slavery and people dying, right? So there's always a story to everything, good and bad, right? Make sure y'all go out and get some cotton and some linen and some wool. Alright? Make sure y'all get some rest. I love y'all. Peace.